Life in France. No clothes allowed. Inside elite beaches and hidden sex rules.
What if I told you that in the heart of France, there's a place where wearing clothes isn't just optional, it's practically forbidden. It's a place where the wealthiest people in the world, from billionaires to celebrities, come to strip down and live a life where the lines between luxury, freedom, and secrecy are constantly blurred. Here, some of the most famous beaches are unabowed sunbathing in swimsuits. They re-about freedom in its rawest form. But what happens when the clothes come off? Is it truly about living freely? Or is there an unspoken game of status, power, and hidden rules that only the elite know about? Stick around, because what I'm about to show you will completely change the way you think about beach life. Trust me, you're not ready for this one. When most people think of France, they picture vineyards, romantic streets of Paris, and of course, delicious cheese and wine. But there is another side to this beautiful country that most people don't know about, a side that involves sunbathing with no clothes, where the only thing you're expected to wear is your confidence. France isn't just famous for its culture, cuisine, and art. It also has some of the most exclusive and secretive beach destinations in the world, where a strange, alluring world of nudity, freedom, and hidden rules exists. And this world is much more than just a bunch of people tanning on a beach. In places like Agde, the largest naturist resort in the world, nudity isn't just accepted, it's expected. Here, the elite, the wealthy, and the adventurous gather together to strip away more than just their clothes. They strip away the pressures of the outside world, their identities, and sometimes even their inhibitions. You might be thinking, okay, that sounds like just another nudist resort, but it's far from that. This isn't just a laid-back, carefree escape to the beach. No, there's a completely different social code at play here, a set of unspoken rules that the outsiders would never even know about unless they re-let in. From the moment you step onto these beaches, you quickly realize that it's not just about freedom and relaxation, it's about status, subtlety, and control. Agde is the center of it all, drawing visitors from all over the world, including the rich and famous, who not only come here to sunbathe, but to embrace a unique way of life where clothes are optional, but the game of social interaction is anything but. To the outsider, it might seem like a paradise where everyone's just here to enjoy the sun, the sand, and the sea. But behind that carefree image lies something far more complex. This isn't just a beach, it's a society, a world with its own hierarchy, and its own invisible rules that control how people interact, what's acceptable, and what's not. And believe me, the moment you break those unspoken codes, you'll quickly find yourself on the outside looking in. But what exactly are these hidden rules? Why is this place so attractive to the wealthiest people in the world? And why do they keep coming back year after year? Sure, there's the allure of freedom, the promise of no judgment. But there's also something more, a desire to escape the pressures of everyday life and indulge in a world where they can let go of their usual identities. It's not just about enjoying nature and the nudity. It's about engaging in a completely different social dance. One where everything is based on subtlety, behavior, and body language. In Agde, the most important thing isn't what you wear, it's how you carry yourself. So what's the truth behind these exclusive beaches? What's really going on under the surface of this seemingly perfect lifestyle? Is this truly a world of liberation? Or is there something darker, more complex, and more controlling lurking beneath the sun-soaked surface? As we step further into this world, you'll start to realize that these elite beaches, while luxurious and seemingly carefree, are governed by a hidden set of rules that demand as much attention as any swimsuit would. And if you don't know what those rules are, well, you'll quickly learn that it's not as simple as just stripping down and relaxing. Stay tuned, because we're about to take you inside the hidden life of France's most elite and controversial beaches. What you think you know about freedom and nudity will completely change. Once you see how the wealthy and powerful play when there is no clothes to hide behind, why France is the naked capital of the world. France is famous for many things: its art, culture, cuisine, and fashion. But there's another part of France that might surprise you. It's a country where naturism and nudist culture have deep roots. And over time, this way of life has become more than just a passing trend. Today, France is considered the capital of naturism, drawing millions from all around the world to experience its freedom-filled, clothes-free lifestyle. But how did this all start? And why is France the go-to destination for naturists? The journey of naturism in France dates back much further than you might think. After World War II, people in Europe were desperate for freedom, simplicity, and a return to nature. The horrors of war had caused people to reevaluate what was important in life, and many turned to naturism as a way to break free from the constraints of society. They wanted to return to a more natural state, one that was unburdened by materialism or the heavy weight of history. This desire for simplicity and connection with nature started gaining popularity, and France quickly became a safe haven for those who sought a life without clothes. It was in the 1950s that France truly began to embrace naturism. The country's first naturist resorts were created in areas with wide-open spaces, ideal for those who wanted to bask in the sun and swim in the sea without the confines of clothing. These resorts were much more than just beaches. They became entire communities where people could live freely, far away from the judgment of society. They were places where individuals could express themselves without worrying about body image, social status, or fitting into traditional molds. These places soon grew in popularity, and over time, more and more resorts were created along the French coastline and in the countryside. But it wasn't just about taking off clothes. It was about embracing a lifestyle that focused on health, freedom, and living authentically. People who visited these resorts didn't just come for the nudity. They came for the chance to live without the constant pressures of society. Naturism became intertwined with a desire to get back to basics, to focus on personal well-being, and to connect with others in a non-judgmental, open way. This philosophy aligned perfectly with the French sense of liberation, which has always been a part of the country's cultural identity. As the decades went by, France's naturist resorts became bigger and more sophisticated. They weren't just about beaches anymore. Many of these resorts became small villages, offering everything from hotels and restaurants to grocery stores, golf courses, and even nightclubs, all of which operated without the need for clothing. What was once a simple act of stripping down to embrace nature had turned into a whole new lifestyle. One that attracted people from all walks of life, including the wealthy and famous. Today, France is home to some of the largest naturist resorts in the world, including Cap d'Agde, which draws over 40,000 visitors each year. It's a place where people from all over the world come together to embrace the same freedoms and experiences that France has become known for. What makes France so different from other naturist destinations? One major factor is the country's long-standing tradition of liberty and individualism. The French have always valued personal freedom and the right to live life on their own terms. This cultural foundation has made France a natural hub for those who want to explore alternative ways of living, including naturism. While other countries may have nudist beaches or resorts, France's approach is more inclusive and deeply embedded in its cultural fabric. Naturism is not a trend. Here it's a lifestyle that has been accepted and celebrated for decades. Moreover, France's beaches, landscapes, and climate make it the perfect destination for naturism. With its warm Mediterranean coastline, picturesque countryside, and beautiful landscapes, France offers an ideal environment for naturists to relax and enjoy the natural world. The country's mild climate allows for year-round naturist experiences, and its diverse geography means there's always a perfect spot to sunbathe, swim, or hike without the need for clothes. Whether you're in the south of France by the Mediterranean Sea or in a secluded area of the countryside, you can find a place where you can connect with nature and yourself in a way that few other countries can offer. So, what is it about France that has made it the go-to destination for naturists? It's the combination of history, culture, and the natural environment that has created a unique and lasting relationship with nudity and freedom. The desire for liberation, the connection with nature, and the French tradition of personal liberty have made this country the home of naturism, offering a lifestyle that is truly unique and difficult to find anywhere else in the world. When you visit France's naturist resorts, you're not just visiting a beach, you're stepping into a culture that has been shaped by years of tradition, freedom, and the belief that living authentically is the ultimate way to live. This is why France will forever remain the naked capital of the world. Cap d'Agde, the town where clothes are optional. Let me take you to Cap d'Agde, the world's largest naturist resort. This isn't just another beach with a few sunbathers. Cap d'Agde is a full-on village, one that operates with a completely different set of rules than any typical tourist destination. Here, there are no clothing optional signs, because frankly, clothes are considered optional everywhere. Imagine stepping into a place where you can grab a coffee, buy groceries, or visit a bar without ever putting on a single piece of clothing. In fact, you might find yourself chatting with someone while they re-picking out fresh fruit in the grocery store, completely nude. It sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? Oh, but it's real. Cap d'Agde is located on the Mediterranean coast of France, and it's not just a beach. It's a whole town designed for naturists. This isn't the type of place where you go for a couple of hours to tan and then head back to your hotel. No, this is a community. It's got everything you could need. Grocery stores, pharmacies, restaurants, bars, and even nightclubs. And in each of these spaces, people are free to wander around as they please, without worrying about what they're wearing or not wearing. You'll see locals and visitors alike simply living their day-to-day lives, except they're not hiding behind any clothes. But what makes Cap d'Agde truly unique isn't just the fact that people walk around naked. It's the culture that is developed there. Over the years, this town has built a reputation for being a place where people can live freely, without judgment. But there's much more to it than that. The real culture of Cap d'Agde, Agde, isn't just about sunbathing or hanging out at the beach. It's about the hidden rules that govern this place. Yes, it's about nudity, but it's also about social codes, behavior, and a lifestyle that many visitors might not fully understand at first. You see, there is a certain hierarchy in Cap d'Agde that separates the natives from the newbies, the longer you stay.
The more you learn about the unspoken norms that define this place.
For example, newcomers may quickly find themselves uncomfortable. If they don't follow these subtle social codes, it's not just about how you behave, it's about how you present yourself. The people who truly fit in here aren't the ones who try to stand out with flashy behavior or attention-grabbing antics. Instead, it's the people who understand that this lifestyle is built on respect, mutual understanding, and a deep sense of freedom that goes beyond just removing clothing. One of the most interesting things about Cap d'Agde is how visitors and locals blend together in a space that feels like a giant experiment in human interaction. It's in a place where no one is worried about hiding behind designer clothes or fancy outfits. People are free to just be. The way you interact with others here is different from any other place you might visit. There's an immediate feeling of openness, but also an underlying tension of social expectation. The people who have been coming here for years know the unspoken rules. They know that nudity isn't just about relaxation or a simple freedom. It's also about blending in and not disrupting the natural flow of the community. Cap d'Agde isn't just about the freedom of not wearing clothes. It's about how that freedom works within a community. The resort is massive, and while it's true that most of the residents and visitors are nude, there's still an air of control. People are expected to follow a set of social norms that govern not just how you interact with each other, but how you behave when you're surrounded by so much freedom. It's almost like being part of a club, but one where the membership isn't based on money, looks, or status. It's based on how well you can blend in with the crowd. For example, one of the most important rules of Cap d'Agde is respect for others. It's not enough to simply be naked. Being here means showing respect for the space, the people around you, and the community that has been built over decades. There is a quiet understanding that everyone is here for the same purpose: to enjoy a break from the world, to experience life without clothes, and to interact in a way that's free from judgment or societal expectations. But with that freedom comes responsibility. And when you walk into Cap d'Agde for the first time, you quickly realize that you're not just in a place where nudity is normally you. In a place where the way you act, the way you speak, and even how you look is part of the unspoken contract of the resort. Now, if you're wondering how people spend their days in this village, it's not all lounging around. Sure, you'll see people soaking up the sun by the beach or in their private gardens. But there's a whole range of activities you can take part in. For some, it's about enjoying the natural surroundings, hiking through nearby trails, or taking a dip in the ocean. For others, it's about attending social gatherings. Whether it's a casual dinner at one of the many restaurants or a night out at one of the bars, Cap d'Agde has a lively nightlife scene. with clubs and music venues that cater to those who want to keep the party going into the early hours of the morning. And yes, it's all done in the buff. If you're used to partying in glamorous outfits, this will certainly take some getting used to. But beyond the fun and freedom, Cap Agde also offers something that's hard to find anywhere else: a sense of community. It's a place where people don't have to put on a facade. No one is judging you by the clothes you wear or the things you own. Here, it's all about who you are and how you carry yourself. For many, this is what makes Cap Agde so special. It's not just about the sun, the sea, or the nude beaches. It's about the feeling of being completely free in every sense of the word. And if you're not prepared to embrace this lifestyle, you might quickly find that this isn't the place for you. The rules are subtle, but they are very much there, and they are what keep Cap Agde a unique and unforgettable place to visit. In the end, Cap Agde is a town like no other. It's a place where the normal rules of society don't apply, but where the unspoken rules of freedom, respect, and community are what truly define it. So, if you're ever planning to visit, remember this: the clothes are optional, but fitting in isn't. The social game. Hidden rules and elite etiquette here. The catch. Just because you renewed docility mean you re-free from society's rules. In fact, at places like Cap Agde and other naturist spots, the social game is just as important as the freedom you feel from shedding your clothes. Being naked isn't about doing whatever you want. Instead, it's about understanding a hidden set of social rules, ones that aren't immediately obvious but are crucial if you want to truly fit in. The first and most important rule is all about behavior. How you carry yourself matters far more than you might think. When you arrive at a nudist beach or resort, it's easy to think that all you need to do is strip down and enjoy yourself. But here's where things can get tricky. People who really belong to these spaces know that nudity isn't a free pass to act however you want. They know that, despite the lack of clothes, the behavior expectations are high. You might think that everyone is there to party and be loud, but that's the last thing you want to do. One of the biggest unspoken rules is that you should never act like you at a party or behave in a way that draws too much attention to yourself. In fact, most of the people who have been coming here for years don't flaunt anything. They act with a certain level of quiet confidence, a behavior that feels natural in these places, but can be hard to pick up if you renew. The key here is subtlety. It's about blending in. Those who get it, they belong. They walk through these spaces with an ease that comes from understanding the deeper cultural norms. They know that the goal isn't to stand out or put on a show. They don't strut around like they're at a nightclub. They move about with confidence, but it's the kind of confidence that doesn't need to shout for attention. If you show too much, whether it's in your actions, your looks, or your behavior, it's considered tacky. On the flip side, if you're shy or too reserved, you might be seen as an outsider too. It's all about striking that balance, being comfortable in your own skin, but also respecting the community around you. This isn't just about how you act. It's also about how you interact with others. While you might think everyone is there just to relax and soak up the sun, there's a whole different side to the social structure at nudist resorts. The real power of these places comes from the unspoken connections that are made through body language and subtle exchanges. If you're too eager to make friends or too forward in your interactions, you might be seen as out of place. Nudism here isn't about doing whatever you feel like. It's about feeling connected to others in a respectful way without the need to make it obvious. People watch how you walk, how you look at others, how you stand when talking. There's an art to being part of the crowd, and the people who belong have learned it over time. Another important aspect of this social game is the way people use eye contact and gestures to communicate. In most normal social settings, we rely on words to talk to people. But in these spaces, much of the communication happens non-verbally. A look, a smile, or even a slight tilt of the head can tell you a lot about someone's interest or intentions. Those who are familiar with this scene know how to use these non-verbal cues to navigate the complex web of relationships and interactions. It's like a silent language that everyone knows but doesn't need to speak aloud. For newcomers, it can feel a bit overwhelming. But those who are comfortable with it move seamlessly within the community, understanding these subtle signals. It's also important to remember that respect is a cornerstone of this culture. respect for personal space, respect for privacy, and respect for the boundaries of others. Nudity here doesn't mean that every aspect of personal life is on display. In fact, many people who come to these resorts value their privacy just as much as they value the freedom to be without clothes. There is a certain understanding that just because you re-naked dose and tea mean you reopen to everything. Everyone has their limits, and respecting those limits is what keeps the social fabric of these places intact. So how do you even begin to fit in? The key is to stop thinking of nudity as the end goal. Instead, think of it as the beginning of something bigger. You're not just shedding your clothes, you're also shedding your ego. At places like Agde, it's not about who you are outside of these spaces, it's about who you are in them. The more you embrace this, the more comfortable and accepted you'll feel. It's a delicate balance between being true to yourself and respecting the unique social environment around you. It's not always easy, but it's the price of admission into a world where clothes are optional. But the social code is anything but. As you learn these unspoken rules and begin to understand the rhythm of life in a nudist resort, you'll notice something surprising. These rules aren't just about nudity. They're about connection, respect, and living in a way that feels truly free from judgment. When you stop focusing on the idea of being naked and instead start focusing on the human connections, you'll find that this social game isn't as difficult as it seems. It's just a matter of finding the right balance between being yourself and fitting in with the community. So next time you step onto one of these beaches, remember? The game isn't about how you look or how you dress. It's about how you carry yourself and how you fit into this delicate yet powerful social dance. The grooming and dress codes? Yes, there are rules. You might think that going to a nudist beach means anything goes. Just strip off your clothes and relax. After all, if everyone's naked, it should be a free-fall, right? Well, that's not exactly the case. In fact, the real dress code at these naturist beaches has nothing to do with clothing at all. It's all about grooming. While people are free to be naked, how you present yourself, how well you maintain your appearance, plays a huge role in whether or not you'll fit in. It's not about your body type, but how you take care of what you have. The way you groom yourself, keep your hygiene in check, and even the way you move in the space can make all the difference. In the nudist world, attention to detail is essential. And if you don't follow these unwritten standards, you might quickly find yourself feeling out of place. Grooming at nudist resorts is taken very seriously. When you step onto the beach, you're not just expected to be comfortable with your body, but also with how it's presented to others. It's in a space where there's nothing to hide behind. Maintaining your personal hygiene becomes just as important as the freedom to be naked. This means making sure you're clean, well-groomed, and presenting yourself in a way that shows respect for the community around you. Whether it's shaving, trimming, or simply making sure you smell fresh, these little things matter more than you might think. The overall vibe of a naturist space is one of balance and respect. And this extends to the way people carry themselves and look after their personal appearance. It's not about perfection. No one expects anyone to look like a supermodel. But the key is effort. How well you take care of yourself tells others that you understand and respect the environment you in. This attention to grooming isn't just about aesthetics. It's a way to show that you fully participating in the lifestyle and adhering to the shared values of the community. When people see that you've taken the time to groom and look after yourself, it shows that you care about the experience. And it sends a message that you respect the space, the people, and the lifestyle. This isn't a place where you just show up without thinking about your appearance. It's about putting in the effort to fit in with the crowd. So what exactly are the grooming expectations? First off, most naturist resorts expect that people keep themselves clean, both in terms of body hygiene and hair care. A well-kept appearance shows that you respect yourself and the space you're in. You'll also notice that people at nudist resorts often take care with their skin. It's keeping it sun-safe with the right sunscreen and making sure they stay hydrated. As for body hair, the expectations vary from place to place, but there's a general trend toward tidiness. While some people might embrace their natural body hair, others might trim or shave, depending on personal preference. This isn't about forcing anyone to follow a strict standard of beauty. It's about presenting yourself in a way that feels comfortable and respectful to those around you. Grooming also extends to your behavior. The way you carry yourself in these spaces speaks volumes. You won't see many people rushing around, looking frantic or stressed. Instead, the vibe is much more relaxed. Being aware of how you move in a nudist environment is important because it shows whether you re-in tune with the social norms of the community. People who are confident but not boastful, relaxed but not too casual, are the ones who tend to fit in best. The real dress code of nudist. Beaches is less about what you wear and more about how you present yourself and the energy you bring to the space. There are also unspoken rules about how you engage with others. Approaching people with respect and understanding their boundaries is just as important as keeping yourself well-groomed. Many people at nudist beaches are there to enjoy peace and relaxation, so keeping a calm and respectful demeanor is expected. The nudist lifestyle isn't just about being comfortable in your own skin, it's about being comfortable with others, creating a space where everyone feels accepted without judgment. People are careful not to stare or make anyone uncomfortable. The general rule of thumb is that just because you naked doesn't mean you should act as if anything goes. Respecting personal space and social boundaries is a huge part of fitting into this world. Now, this doesn't mean you have to be perfect to belong. Everyone has a different body, a different style, and different preferences. But the effort you put into your grooming is what helps you blend in. It shows that you understand the values of the community and that you've recommitted to making the experience a positive one for everyone involved. The nudist experience is as much about personal discipline as it is about freedom. By paying attention to how you present yourself, both physically and socially. Rejoining a community where respect and care for each other are just as important as the freedom to be yourself. In a place where everyone is stripped down, the last thing you want is to stand out in a way that feels uncomfortable to others. And it's easy to forget that the lack of clothing doesn't mean a lack of standards. In fact, the opposite is true. People who fit in best with this lifestyle are those who maintain good grooming habits, understand the social rules, and respect the community they're in. If you follow these guidelines and show you're there for the right reasons, you will find that fitting in at a nudist resort isn't as hard as it may seem. It's not about being perfect, it's about being present, aware, and respectful of the shared space around you. The Libertine nightlife. Beyond the beach, when the sun sets in places like Agde, the atmosphere shifts dramatically. The daytime energy, full of sunbathing and relaxed nudity, transforms into something entirely different as the night takes over. The clubs and nightlife here are far from what you'd expect in a typical vacation destination. Sure, there's still music, drinks, and dancing, but it's not just about partying. The real vibe is deeper, more complex, and revolves around power dynamics, relationships, subtle social cues that are easy to miss if you know what to look for. In these resorts, especially at night, things aren't as simple as just letting loose on the dance floor. There's a whole other layer to the experience. Many of the visitors here aren't just looking for a night out, they're looking for something more, something deeper. As the music pulses and the lights flicker, the people you see are not just there to get drunk and forget about their day. They're engaging in a social dance that goes beyond words. People communicate through glances, body language, and subtle gestures. In these spaces, everything is about unspoken invitations. A certain look, a gesture, or even a smile can signal interest. And it's all done in a way that feels incredibly intimate, yet at the same time, private. It's easy to think that these nightlife spots are all about wild, it's uninhibited behavior. But the truth is, it's far more controlled than it appears. It's the way people move, the way they interact with one another, and how they establish connections, whether they casual or more intimate, are all part of an intricate social game. The power dynamics here are subtle, but very much present. In a way, the real power isn't in who's on the dance floor, or who's making the most noise. It's in who understands the social cues, who knows how to read a situation, and who can navigate the complex web of relationships and desires without making a fuss. It's about control, not in a domineering way, but in a more refined and seductive manner. If you want to understand who's really in charge in these spaces, it's not about looking for the loudest person or the one with the most attention. Instead, watch how people engage with each other. Notice the subtle power shifts, the way people interact, and how some seem to command attention without even trying. These moments aren't always obvious, but to those in the know, it's all part of the seductive charm of the libertine culture. In these clubs, people are always aware of the social undercurrent, and they move accordingly. It's a world where the freedom to be yourself is key, but so is the awareness of the social structures that guide behavior. For many, the nightlife here is a chance to explore not just their own desires, but also the unspoken rules that govern interactions in these spaces. There's a certain thrill in not knowing exactly what's going to happen next, but still feeling comfortable with the idea that anything can unfold. People come to Agde not just for the beaches, but for the social experiences that extend into the night. It's a world where relationships, power plays, mutual understanding become as much a part of the experience as the freedom of being naked. The clubs are more than just places to dance. They are arenas for testing boundaries, for feeling desired, and for exploring human connection in its rawest, most open form. But it's not just about who's in control or who has power. In these spaces, respect is also a major part of the equation. The rules may not be written down, but they're very clear. People know that certain behavior, like being too forward or ignoring social boundaries, can get you quickly dismissed. The libertine culture isn't about crossing lines without consent. It's about knowing where those lines are and respecting them. It's an environment that thrives on trust, mutual understanding, the pleasure of connecting with others who share similar interests. There's also an unspoken rule about exclusivity. People who come to these resorts and clubs often understand that they are part of something special, something that not everyone is able to access. The allure of the nightlife isn't just about the people you meet. It is about the feeling of being in a space where you not judged for your desires. People who understand the culture at Agde and places like it know that the attraction is not just physical. It's about connecting on a level that goes beyond the surface. It's about finding others who share the same appreciation for freedom, for boundaries, and for the unspoken communication that drives the libertine lifestyle. What makes the nightlife at these resorts even more intriguing is the way it contrasts with the daytime activities. By day, you might see families, friends, and strangers lounging together in a carefree environment. But once the night falls, the energy shifts. The carefree nature of the day gives way to a more complex, nuanced atmosphere. People are more alert, more aware of the undercurrents that run beneath the surface. The dynamic changes, and the atmosphere becomes charged with a kind of quiet anticipation. Everyone seems to be playing a part, but it's a game where the rules are known to all, even if they're never spoken aloud. As you move through the nightlife scene at places like Agde, you quickly realize that this isn't just about having fun. It's about exploring power, attraction, and connection in ways that most people never experience. It's about learning the rules of the game and understanding how subtle gestures, behaviors, and looks can shift the energy in the room. And for many, it's a chance to feel something deeper, something more meaningful than just a night out at a bar. In this libertine world, the real attraction isn't the flashing lights or the loud music hits, the delicate dance of human connection that unfolds behind closed doors. Who comes here? A surprising people behind the nudity. You might think that nudist beaches are only for free-spirited hippies. People who are all about living off the grid and rejecting society's norms, but that's far from the truth. In fact, when you step into places like Agde, you quickly realize that the people who frequent these resorts are far more diverse than you might imagine. Behind the naked bodies, you'll find millionaires, business executives, doctors, lawyers, and even celebrities, people you'd never expect to see at a nudist beach. What is even more surprising is that many of these individuals come from professions that demand discretion and privacy. They aren't here just for the chance to get away from clothes. They're looking for something else, something deeper and more personal. Nudist resorts like Agde attract a certain type of visitor, someone who's not just seeking the freedom to be naked, but someone who appreciates the exclusivity and the subtleties of this lifestyle. It's a level of exclusivity that goes beyond simply stripping off your clothes. There's a social code that comes with being part of these communities, and it requires a certain understanding of how things work. The people who frequent these places are often sophisticated and polished, not the typical beachgoers you might picture. They understand the importance of discretion, respect, and privacy. For them, it's not just about being naked in public. It's about embracing a lifestyle that allows them to feel free from the judgment of the outside world. You might be surprised to learn that many of the regulars at these resorts are high-powered professionals who live in the public eye. CEOs, politicians, celebrities, and even famous athletes. They come to these resorts not just for a vacation, but for a chance to escape the pressures of their everyday lives. When you're constantly under the spotlight, finding a place where you can be yourself without the fear of paparazzi or judgment can be incredibly freeing. These resorts offer that privacy, a rare opportunity to step away from the demands of their high-profile careers and just live in the moment, without worrying about how they look or what others think. But it's not just about escaping the spotlight. Many of the people who visit these beaches are also looking for a sense of belonging. In a world where social expectations and pressures can be overwhelming, these naturist resorts provide a space where people can interact with each other without the usual masks of wealth, status, and reputation. Here, what you wear or don't wear doesn't matter. It's about who you are, how you carry yourself, and how you interact with the people around you. There's a sense of equality that comes with being naked in these spaces. No matter how much money you make or how famous you are, everyone is on the same level. It's a place where social status takes a back seat to respect, mutual understanding, and personal freedom. Interestingly, many of the people who visit these resorts are also regulars. They've been coming back for years. They know the ropes, they understand the social dynamics, and they're comfortable with the lifestyle. For them, these nudist resorts aren't just a place to go on vacation. They become a part of their routine. It's a place they can return to year after year to unwind and reconnect with like-minded individuals. These regulars help set the tone for the community, showing newcomers how to behave and what's expected of them. It's a culture that's passed down, with each new generation learning the unspoken rules and understanding the unique blend of freedom and respect that makes these resorts so special. Don't be fooled just because you're surrounded by wealthy professionals and successful individuals. Doesn't mean that these resorts are only for the rich. They cater to a wide range of people, from young backpackers to older retirees and everyone in between. The diversity of the visitors is what makes these places so unique. It's not just about nudity. It's about bringing together people from all walks of life who share a common appreciation for freedom, respect, and a deeper connection with nature. It's a melting pot of personalities, backgrounds, and life experiences that you might not expect to see in one place. So what really brings these people together? It's the shared desire for a space where they can truly be themselves, free from the constraints of society's expectations. In a world where appearances often define us, naturist resorts offer a rare opportunity to experience life without the need for clothes or labels. The people who come here are not defined by what they wear or what they do for a living. Instead, they're defined by their openness, their willingness to embrace a lifestyle that values authenticity, respect, and personal freedom. And that's what makes these resorts so unique. They attract a group of people who are looking for something more than just a vacation. They're looking for a place where they can truly escape, where they can connect with others on a deeper level, and where they can enjoy life without the usual restrictions, freedom, or formality. The dark side of the nude beaches, so you think it's all about freedom? The idea of being on a nudist beach, free from the constraints of clothing and societal judgment, sounds like a dream, doesn't it? But what if I told you that it's not as simple as it seems? The feeling of liberation that many people associate with these places is often tied to a set of hidden, social rules and unspoken norms that can actually make you feel more confined than if you were wearing clothes. These hidden codes shape behavior, interactions, and even your sense of self in ways that many people don't fully realize until they step into this world. At first glance, nudist beaches and resorts might seem like the ultimate escape from the rules of the outside world. After all, the very concept of nudity implies a kind of freedom, right? You shed your clothes, and for a brief moment, it feels like you're shedding all the societal expectations that come with them. But when you dig a little deeper, you will realize that this so-called freedom is often bound by a very rigid set of social codes. In a place where clothes are optional, there's a whole new kind of pressure to conform. It's a pressure that can feel even more intense than the rules of traditional society. It's the first thing that becomes apparent when you step onto a nudist beach is how much attention is paid to your behavior. While no one is technically judging you for what you're wearing, they are watching your actions closely. How you carry yourself, how you interact with others, and even the way you look can speak volumes. The social rules aren't printed on signs, but they are deeply ingrained in the culture. These unwritten codes create a hierarchy where behavior is more important than appearance. and fitting in means knowing how to act in this unique space. There's an invisible pressure to be normal in a very specific way. If you don't understand the social codes, you could quickly find yourself feeling like an outsider, even if you're in the middle of the most liberated environment imaginable. At first, you might think that nudity equals freedom, but it often becomes clear that the freedom you feel is still shaped by these very real social structures. It's not just about being naked, it's about understanding how to behave in this space, how to interact with others, and how to avoid making mistakes that could label you as uncool or out of place. One of the most surprising things about these resorts and beaches is how much effort goes into keeping things normal. While it may seem like everyone is there for relaxation and fun, there's a constant undercurrent of control and order. The freedom to be yourself in such an environment is often more about fitting in with the crowd than truly embracing your individuality. People who have been coming to these places for years know how to walk the fine line between freedom and conformity. They've learned that true freedom here isn't about doing whatever you wanted. It's about respecting the invisible rules of the community. This isn't to say that nudist resorts are full of rigid, judgmental people. Most of the time, the atmosphere is welcoming and relaxed. But the truth is, there's an unspoken pressure to adhere to the behaviors that are accepted within the community. For example, many nudist resorts operate with a sense of decorum that goes beyond just keeping things respectful. The more you understand the subtle rules, the easier it is to feel like you belong. But if you don't know the codes, you can quickly feel out of place. This isn't about judging people based on their appearance. It's about judging behavior, body language, and social cues. The idea of freedom becomes more complicated when you realize that the rules governing these spaces aren't as transparent as they might seem. In fact, they can be even more complex than the rules that exist in society. For example, one of the biggest social codes in nudist spaces is how you interact with others. A glance can mean a lot more than a glance, and body language is everything. But not everyone is familiar with these unspoken rules. And if you don't know how to read the signals, you might find yourself isolated. The freedom you expected to feel is often replaced with a feeling of anxiety or pressure to fit in. Moreover, the experience of nudity itself often creates a paradox. On one hand, you feel liberated. There's nothing hiding your body, no fabric to create separation between you and the world. But on the other hand, you might become hyper-aware of your body in ways you never were before. In a place where everyone is exposed, you can't help but compare yourself to others. Even though you know everyone is supposed to be accepting of one another, suddenly, the freedom you imagined becomes tainted by self-consciousness and a constant awareness of the social rules that govern these spaces. What makes it even more complicated is that the social hierarchy in these places is not always easy to spot. At first, it seems like everyone is equal because everyone is naked. But soon, you begin to notice that certain people seem to command more attention, or they interact in ways that suggest they know the rules of the community better than others. It's a subtle power dynamic, but it's very real. It can leave you questioning whether this is truly freedom or just another set of rules you have to follow. So is this really freedom, or is it just another form of control? The answer isn't as simple as it seems. On the surface, nudist resorts offer an escape from the norms and expectations of society. It's a chance to live without clothes and without judgment. But beneath that surface, there are just as many rules, pressures, and subtle hierarchies as you'd find in any other social setting. It's a world where freedom is often balanced by the need to conform to the community's unspoken codes. The illusion of freedom quickly fades when you realize that fitting in and following the rules is just as important as the ability to take your clothes off. In the end, the question remains, is the freedom you experience on these beaches real, or is it just another form of social structure? One that operates under the guise of liberation? It's the thrill of rebellion? What drives people to return year after year? Here's the real question. Why do people keep coming back to these beaches year after year? After all, there are no souvenir towels with fancy logos, no Instagram-worthy photos to post, and no flashy signs to mark your experience. So what is it about these places that draws people in over and over again? The answer might surprise you. It's the thrill. For many, it's not just about being naked on the beach. It's about something much deeper. It's about escaping the pressures of everyday life, and the chance to live in a space where societal norms are turned upside down, even if only for a short while. Imagine living in a world where the usual rules no longer apply. In society, we're constantly told how to dress, what to say, who to be. But on these beaches, people can experience a brief but powerful escape from that. For a few days or weeks, they can step into a world where they are not judged by their appearance or their job title, but simply by their presence. In a place where no one is hiding behind clothes, the pressure to conform to the usual standards disappears. It's a place where people can breathe a little easier, knowing that they are not expected to follow the usual social rules. There's an undeniable excitement that comes from stepping out of the rigid confines of everyday life and into a space where freedom, however imperfect, is celebrated. But the thrill of rebellion doesn't stop there. Nudist beaches, like those in Agde, also offer the chance to defy conventional expectations in other ways. There is something exhilarating about being part of a community where everyone is doing the same thing, breaking away from the norms that society imposes. When you're surrounded by others who are doing the same, it creates a sense of camaraderie and shared rebellion. It's like a secret club, where the only requirement to enter is to let go of the things that normally hold you back. And the best part? You don't have to say a word. The experience is shared non-verbally, through actions and body language, rather than speeches or announcements. The rules might be subtle, but they create a sense of unity and understanding that is hard to find in any other part of life. This feeling of rebellion and freedom becomes addictive. The longer people experience it, the more they realize that this lifestyle offers something special, a chance to be part of something that goes against the grain, even if only for a little while. For those who return year after year, it's no longer just about the sun or the sea. It's about the thrill of stepping into a world where society's usual judgments don't apply, where the usual constraints melt away, and where everyone is on equal ground. There's an unspoken understanding that this place exists outside of regular life. It's a place to experiment with who you are without the usual labels or judgments attached. The freedom to live outside of normal societal expectations is powerful, and it's what keeps many people coming back. It's the escape that many people crave, but don't always get in their day-to-day lives. In a world where most people spend their days living by strict rules and expectations, whether at work, it's at home, or in public, these nudist resorts offer a brief but intense release from that structure. The excitement of breaking free, even temporarily, from all those rules is what draws people back year after year. But even with all the freedom, there's still a reason people choose to return. It's not just the thrill of rebellion, it's the community that comes with it. People develop a connection to these places and to the people who share in this experience. The return visits aren't just about the physical space of the beach or the resort. They're about the bonds people create with others who understand and appreciate what this lifestyle represents. For many, these annual visits become a part of their routine, a tradition that helps them recharge, reconnect, and reassert their own sense of freedom in a world that often feels too constraining. Despite the hidden pressures, the subtle rules, and the social expectations that come with being part of a nudist community, there's something about the experience that people just can't get enough of. It's a unique kind of thrill, a feeling of freedom that's hard to find anywhere else. That's why so many people keep coming back, year after year. They return not just for the chance to strip down and soak up the sun, they return for the sense of liberation, the feeling of defying norms, and the opportunity to live in a space where the usual rules don't apply. It's an escape from the everyday grind, and for many, it's a chance to feel truly alive in a way that the outside world just can't offer. Social rules of the nude beach. Not everything is as it seems. At first glance, nudist beaches might seem like the ultimate paradise. The idea of a place where you can be free from the restrictions of clothing and societal norms sounds like a dream, doesn't it? But dig a little deeper, and you'll quickly realize that it's not just about body positivity and freedom. Yes, people are naked, but there's a lot more happening beneath the surface. These places are governed by invisible codes, subtle rituals, and social norms that play a huge role in how people interact with each other. It's not just about showing your body, it's about understanding how to navigate the social structure of this unique environment. When you strip away the clothes, it's not just your skin that is exposed, it's your behavior, your body language, and how you carry yourself. People who visit these beaches or resorts quickly realize that nudity isn't enough to fit in. There are unspoken rules about how you should act, how you should engage with others, and how you should respect the space. These codes can be difficult to pick up on at first, but once you understand them, you begin to see how they shape the entire experience. It's a social system where behavior, not appearance, becomes the key factor in whether you belong or not. In many ways, nudist beaches are not as carefree as they appear. There's a certain level of formality and structure that exists beneath the surface. For example, people are expected to behave in a calm and respectful way. It's not a place for loud or disruptive behavior. In fact, people who try to attract too much attention or act in a way that feels out of sync with the group's vibe are quickly noticed. The real social currency at these resorts is the ability to fit in and move within the unspoken rules. Those who get it are able to blend in seamlessly, while others might stand out and feel like outsiders. But it's not just about fitting in it. It's also about understanding the subtle power dynamics at play. At a nudist beach, power and status aren't about wealth or fame. They're about social cues, respect, and how people engage with one another. It's an unspoken hierarchy, where the people who know how to navigate the rules often hold a certain level of influence. You might see someone who is completely naked, yet still manages to command respect or attention without saying a word. It is not because they are more attractive or retruit. It's because they know how to behave and interact in a way that fits the culture of the space. This hidden hierarchy can be surprising to newcomers. They might expect a place where everyone is equal because everyone is naked. But the truth is, the social dynamics can be more complex than that. People quickly learn that it's not just about being comfortable with their own body. It's about how they respect the boundaries of others, how they maintain their own composure, and how they understand the unspoken cues in the environment. In many ways, these invisible rules make the nudist experience work. They create a sense of harmony and mutual respect that allows the community to function smoothly, even though the members are all walking around without clothes. Another aspect that makes these beaches unique is how they challenge traditional taboos. In a society where nudity is often seen as taboo or inappropriate, these places offer a space where the normal rules of modesty and privacy don't apply. But just because nudity is accepted, it doesn't mean that other social rules don't exist. In fact, in some ways, the lack of clothes creates even more pressure to behave in a certain way. People are watching your every move, paying attention to how you interact with others and whether you're respecting the space. In this sense, the lack of clothing doesn't remove the judgment, it just shifts it. Instead of judging people for their clothes, people here judge based on behavior, confidence, and social awareness. What makes this system work, though, is the mutual understanding and respect that develops among the people who return year after year. The regulars are often the ones who set the tone for the entire community. They understand the subtle rules, and they help newcomers learn them as well. There's a kind of unspoken bond among those who are familiar with the culture, and they share an understanding of how to move through this space in a way that doesn't disrupt the flow. For those who are new, it can take time to figure out where you fit in. But once you understand the basic principles, you can easily become part of the community. The beauty of these nudist communities is that they allow people to connect on a deeper level than what's possible in other spaces. When you're not focused on clothes or superficial appearances, you can focus on the things that really matter: respect, interaction, and creating a sense of belonging. It's a place where people are encouraged to be themselves within the boundaries of the social code, of course. It's not a free-fall. The subtle rules that govern these places make sure that everyone can enjoy the experience without feeling uncomfortable or out of place. So, while nudist beaches and resorts may seem like a carefree escape, there's a lot more going on beneath the surface. It's not just about shedding clothes. It's about shedding the usual expectations and embracing a different kind of social structure. One that's built on respect, subtlety, and mutual understanding. Once you understand this deeper layer, you begin to see that these places work because they are governed by these hidden rules. And in a world that often feels chaotic, these rules create a sense of order and peace that makes the nudist experience unique and powerful. What does this say about us? So, after everything we've explored, what does all of this really say about us? About our need for control, our desire for status, and our constant search for freedom? Are these nudist beaches a true escape from society's rules? Or is it just another form of control disguised as freedom? Maybe it's both. These beaches are a fascinating blend of liberation and hidden pressure. A place where people seek freedom from society's expectations, only to find that new rules emerge the moment they step in. In many ways, these places are a reflection of human nature. We crave freedom, but we also crave belonging, order, and control. The nudist beaches may offer an outward appearance of carefree living, but when you look closer, it becomes clear that the sense of freedom here comes with its own set of unwritten rules. These rules aren't necessarily bad or limiting, they just shape how people interact, how they find their place in the community, and how they maintain a sense of respect and balance. What might seem like total freedom is actually more complex than it appears. What we're really seeing here is a microcosm of society itself. In the outside world, we wear clothes to express who we are, to signal our status, and to conform to what is expected. On these beaches, people shed their clothes, but the underlying desire for connection, respect, and social order doesn't go away. Instead, it takes on a new form. The naked truth is that even in places where clothes aren't necessary, we still crave social norms, status, and belonging. It's a reminder that no matter how free we might feel in a given moment, there's always an invisible structure shaping our behavior. And that's the point of all of this. These beaches, though they seem to be about shedding clothes, are actually about shedding the masks we wear in everyday life. They allow us to examine the ways in which we define ourselves and others, how we interact in a world that often feels heavy with expectation. But at the same time, they show us that even in the most liberated spaces, we're still bound by invisible codes and human instincts. It's a place where freedom and conformity coexist in a strange dance, reminding us that the search for total freedom often comes with its own set of boundaries. So, if you think these beaches are just about the sun, the sea, and the lack of clothes, you're missing the point. What happens here is much deeper. It's about understanding how we live, how we relate to others, and how, even in the most unconventional spaces, we still search for connection, respect, and balance. The truth is, the real freedom isn't just in shedding clothes, it's in understanding the rules, the power, and the relationships that shape our lives, no matter where we are. Yes. If this made you question what freedom really means, just wait until you hear what's coming next. Stay tuned for the next episode where we dive into a place that completely shatters societal norms. Trust me, after this, you won't look at the world the same way again. Don't miss it.